In the heart of Montana, beneath a rocky cliff face, a chance discovery in 1968 would forever change what we know about the first peoples of the Americas. Hidden in the soil lay a small skeleton, carefully buried, dusted in red ochre, and surrounded by finely crafted stone tools. This was no ordinary grave. It was, and still remains, the only known human burial associated with the Clovis culture, one of the earliest and most iconic prehistoric societies in North America. The remains belonged to a young boy who lived 12,600 years ago. Today, he is known as Anzac I, and his DNA represents the only genome ever recovered from a Clovis individual, as well as one of the oldest complete human genomes from the Americas. The Clovis culture. The Clovis culture takes its name from Blackwater Draw near Clovis, New Mexico, where distinctive stone tools were first identified in the 1920s and 1930s. These tools, fluted spear points, chipped with remarkable precision, are among the most recognizable artifacts in archaeology. Dating between 13,000 and 12,600 years ago, they represent the oldest widespread tool tradition in North America. Designed to penetrate thick hides, Clovis points were lethal weapons used to hunt megafauna, mammoths, mastodons, and giant bison. Over 10,000 have been found across the continent, from the Atlantic to the Pacific, often near ancient kill sites where massive bones lie tangled together. But the Clovis people were not only battling enormous animals, they were confronting a world in collapse. A world in crisis. Around 12,900 years ago, the climate abruptly shifted during a period known as the Younger Dryas. Temperatures plunged, ecosystems destabilized, the great Ice Age beasts began to disappear. As mammoths vanished and bison herds shrank, the Clovis way of life faced extinction. Their tools endured, but their bodies did not. For decades, archaeologists possessed thousands of Clovis artifacts, yet almost no human remains. And for much of the 20th century, a powerful idea dominated archaeology: Clovis first. The belief that Clovis people were the very first humans to enter the Americas, crossing the Bering Land Bridge around 15,000 years ago and rapidly spreading south. But cracks were forming in that narrative.
The Anzac discovery. In 1968, near Wilsaw, Montana, the Anzac family allowed gravel to be excavated near a rock shelter on their land. What began as routine construction unearthed something extraordinary. Two workers uncovered fragments of human bone mixed with a dense cache of stone tools. The remains were later designated Anzac I and Anzac II, though only Anzac I was sufficiently intact for detailed study. The site became the only confirmed Clovis burial ever discovered. The bones were small and fragile, belonging to a child no more than 18 months old and coated in red ochre. Around him lay approximately 125 Clovis artifacts, including projectile points and tool blanks. Radiocarbon dating confirmed the burial occurred 12,600 years ago, at the very end of the Clovis period. His cause of death remains unknown, but what is clear is that he was mourned, wrapped in hides, ceremonially treated, and laid to rest beneath the tools of his people. A genetic revolution. For decades, the Anzac remains were stored and studied intermittently, including at Texas A&M University. Then, in the 2010s, a revolution in ancient DNA research, driven by next-generation sequencing, opened a new possibility. A team from Texas A&M University and Montana State University, working in collaboration with Sarah Anzik, a member of the Anzik family who later became a molecular biologist, set out to sequence the child's genome. The challenge was immense. Montana's harsh freeze-thaw cycles had shattered the DNA into tiny fragments. But the scientists confirmed authenticity through telltale signs of ancient degradation, including cytosine deamination, a chemical hallmark of ancient DNA. Against the odds, they succeeded.
A direct ancestral link. The most profound insight came from the full genome. Anzik 1 is directly ancestral to a large proportion of modern Native Americans, especially populations in Central and South America, including groups related to the Caritiana of Brazil and the Maya. Estimates suggest that up to 80% of indigenous peoples today descend from populations closely related to Anzik 1. The remaining 20% trace to earlier genetic divergences, pointing to population splits that occurred before the Clovis era. This revealed a major genetic divide among Native Americans. Southern populations are closely related to Anzik 1. Northern groups, such as the Cree, Ojibwe, and Algonquian peoples, diverged earlier. This split occurred before 12,600 years ago, meaning the diversity of Native American populations was already established during the Clovis period. Settling an old debate. The Anzik genome also addressed one of archaeology's most controversial theories, the Solitrean hypothesis, which proposed that Clovis people originated in Ice Age Europe and crossed the Atlantic. The DNA showed no European affinity whatsoever. Instead, Anzik 1 shared clear genetic ties with ancient Siberians, including a 24,000-year-old individual from Malta, Siberia. The verdict was decisive. Clovis people descended from Asian ancestors, not European ones. Clovis was not the beginning. Yet the findings also confirmed something equally important. Clovis was not the first culture in the Americas. Sites like Monteverde in Chile dated to 14,500 years ago, and the White Sands footprints in New Mexico, dated between 21,000 and 23,000 years ago, prove that humans were already present long before Clovis tools appeared. Clovis represents not the beginning, but the first widespread technological tradition. Returning home. In 2014, following consultation with indigenous communities and the publication of the genetic research, the Anzik child was reburied near his original resting place in Montana, returned to the earth. But his legacy remains. Why Anzik 1 matters. Anzik 1 is the only human being who gives us a direct genetic window into the Clovis culture. His genome bridges archaeology and living communities, linking the earliest widespread tradition in North America to the descendants who still live here today. And as new discoveries emerge and technology advances, his story may be only the beginning. Thanks for watching. If you found this exploration meaningful, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, keep searching for the origins of us all.